Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleagues Jim Patterson and Paul Estabrooks. Jim and Paul will be today's presenters and will discuss the topic of Is Strategic Portfolio Management the Future of Project Portfolio Management? This webinar is a new addition to the strategic and portfolio management videos we have available on YouTube and our website. So if you enjoy this webinar, we welcome you to watch the others we have available. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thanks, Robert. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on this topic on Is Strategic Portfolio Management the Future of Project and Portfolio Management? First, we should probably start on traditional project and portfolio management and really where that brought us. We've had some great advances, and PPM has advanced the capabilities and effectiveness of many organizations throughout many different industries over the years, and it's been available, primarily for at least a couple decades now. And some of the major benefits and advances that organizations were able to achieve through adopting PPM processes and methods and tools was clarity and consistency of project management activities. Help define and pursue clearer objectives on those things. To make their planning operations, whether annually, quarterly, or whatever, is more realistic and complete. Many people will use it to optimize the allocation of resources and making sure they have the bandwidth to do the things they're committing to. Some improve the quality of their deliverables by actually having better management of their overall projects and their whole portfolio of projects. Another key deliverable is better visibility and reporting, so leadership can have their fingers on the pulse of how their investments in their projects and their initiatives are tracking at any given point in time. And not everybody was able to do this, but at least provided a basis for people possibly doing strategic alignment of projects to the overall strategies and objectives of their organization to make sure that they're in alignment. Now, strategic portfolio management doesn't eliminate that. It doesn't throw that away. It really kind of expands it and brings new and different dimensions into the mix. Leading analysts like Gartner and Forrester say this is the direction that this discipline and this marketplace is headed. Gartner defines that strategic portfolio management, or often coined as SPM, as a set of business capabilities, processes, and supporting portfolio management technology. Now, the business leaders, the EPMO leaders, the IT leaders, they require SPM to be able to support enterprise-wide strategy to execution alignment and adaptation in a fast-moving world. SPM technology really is about supporting clear definition of business strategies, desired business outcomes, and then we have to formulate the mapping of these with the key portfolio elements such as business capabilities are brought into the mix, investments, programs, digital and physical products, applications and other assets in the organizations. And then we get to the projects themselves that traditional PPM was focused on. And a complete PPM solution has got to capture and define and prioritize the business strategies, not just identify them as what they are, but possibly define them in greater detail and then prioritize those things. And then manage the execution of initiatives and projects that drive the achievement of these strategies within the priorities of the organization that they have overall. It also provides in SPM full visibility and management of core IT assets in the organization that are impacted and involved in these initiatives. Now, there's three key stakeholders that are involved in this whole solution. There's the leadership who sets the direction. There's IT management who owns the critical assets and the infrastructure. And then the execution teams that plan and deliver the projects around them. And in the pursuit of reaching those business goals, hopefully that these projects are then in support of those overall business goals. Now, there is a shift now towards SPM to enable organizational agility. We as OnePlan have done a number of different webinars that talk about the move towards more agility and to more agile organizations over time, some to more degrees than others. And that's been really driven by the increasing pace of change and turbulence in the marketplace that sometimes causes unsustainable strain for organizations. And the need for the agility that we have really drives portfolio leaders to do things differently, adopt strategic portfolio management, evolve the enterprise program management or project management office's capabilities, and hence change supporting tool sets and metrics that we have. Now, we work very closely with the Gartner group, and Gartner has a study, predicts 2022 shift towards strategic portfolio management to enable organization agility, just published this past November. And key findings in there are that only 16% of organizations are highly effective at all three key attributes of strategic portfolio management, which is portfolio alignment, ongoing portfolio flexibility, and value-driven decision-making. When we talk about the additional dimensions that are brought into a strategic portfolio management discipline, continuing on a fragmented, disconnected approach to those dimensions can lead to excessive costs due to conflicting priorities, redundant processes, and maybe even misaligned goals and working on the wrong things. And in a distributed delivery environment, sometimes business leaders get distracted from their overall mission and strategies. Crises from our individual local customers might drive us away from and lead us to make knee-jerk decisions that unintentionally pull us away from our overall strategic objectives, and that may not be the healthiest move for us at any given point in time. Now, an interesting side that I was surprised at in this study is about sustainability investments. Overall sustainability and environmental types of concerns have increased by more than 5% over the last 5 years. However, management paradigms have not changed to support this emerging shift. Now, if we look at recommendations that come out of this Gartner study, is that strategic portfolio leaders striving to achieve better business outcomes should do these following things. They should include enterprise strategy in the prioritization process, an eye on the strategies and maybe even the prioritization of those strategies to ensure that we're relevant in the enterprise strategy and the portfolio management process, and that it's clear what our priorities are, and it helps us make better trade-off decisions when we're faced with those as change comes. It also says that we should expand the influence of enterprise program management offices, or EPMOs, so that we can respond to change by reviewing scenarios and trigger actions by anticipating changes impacting the organization, so that we can respond quickly in a meaningful way that actually has desired outcomes, and be able to be more responsive and competitive in the marketplace. We also need to resolve emergent business disruptions by investing in SPM technologies and processes, especially as they support continuous delivery. As opposed to discrete finish and end projects all the time in a portfolio, many organizations with digital products and digital organizations are moving more towards continuous delivery models, where they're delivering continuous value as a stream of releases against a product line or some other customer delivery of value. And then the sustainability portion of that, if that trend continues, we need to develop and incorporate metrics and dashboards around those to help make sure that we achieve whatever those objectives are around sustainability. So in this shift towards SPM, Gartner also says that there are certain assumptions and some predictions that they've come to, in that by 2025, 70% of digital investments will fail to deliver expected business outcomes due to the absence of a strategic portfolio management approach. The message here is that if we don't move in this direction, we're probably going to fail in a large percent of our investments, or at least not to have the optimal or desired outcomes. There's always been these types of, let's just say, metrics around failed projects within organizations. But if we expand this to have more success criteria on priorities and other dimensions like products and business applications and other things like that, it increases the likelihood that we don't embrace things that comprehend these things or bring them into a more integrated fashion, that we will have a higher likelihood of not having desired outcomes. And by 2024, they predict that half of EPMOs will have the ability to rapidly sense and orchestrate changing conditions, meaning they'll have their finger on the pulse and be able to actually do some things to have some corrective actions, and ultimately become the central nervous system for the enterprise if all these factors are being brought together into a common hub in SPM. In 2024, they think that 80% of digital businesses will integrate SPM and then the execution technologies on executing on their projects and initiatives, and adopt new frameworks and standards to achieve valued business outcomes. And then they also predict by 2023, 50% of portfolio offices will include sustainability metrics, things like water usage, carbon footprint, et cetera, et cetera. So these are just some of the things that are findings from the paper in a nutshell at a high level from what Gartner thinks. And to be quite frank, the move towards SPM is also echoed by folks like Forrester. So analysis and what you need to know is that we are moving into a era of more complex and more dynamic environments. Things are changing more complex, more frequently and more rapidly, and our environments themselves are becoming more complex. So SPM has three key attributes. One is portfolio alignment, two is value-driven decision-making, and three is ongoing portfolio flexibility. And another recent Gartner study showed that organizations that are highly effective at all three attributes are approximately twice as likely to drive positive business outcomes, meaning getting the value received for the investment and the effort that they put forth towards it. Now, where are we with this concept? I mean, is this emerging? You know, Gartner also has this concept of a hype cycle in kind of an overall life cycle. And you look at the bottom axis where, you know, there's the innovation trigger, there's the peak of inflated expectations, there's the trough of disillusionment, the slope of enlightenment, and a plateau of productivity. If you look where they say that strategic portfolio management sits on that, we're still in the early stages in the innovation trigger area. It also says that we're about 5 to 10 years away from that plateau being reached, which means we're in that phase where it's time for us to evaluate, implement, and get better at these disciplines over time. So it's still very early on in the life cycle, but it's definitely real and it's here. Now, OnePlan, as an organization and as a solution, provides capabilities to provide innovation, flexibility, speed, and consulting services beyond the technology to suit your needs at different stages of your journey. And we really incorporate the strategy, the technology, and the execution aspects of those things, which intersect to provide overall strategic portfolio management capabilities. Now, from the stakeholders or the personas in here, you know, the business leaders have needs in here. The execution leaders who actually have to deliver on these things and deliver on the initiatives and the projects, and the IT leaders that actually, you know, own and manage the IT technologies and assets and infrastructure that are incorporated into all of this. So if we focus on the business leaders, you know, this solution, you know, that we have at OnePlan define business goals and strategies, as well as track progress at the levels of the portfolio of business capabilities, products, and strategic initiatives in all those different dimensions and interrelate with those. From a OnePlan perspective, we have solutions that help people execute on their strategies with objectives and key results, or other types of approaches to structuring your strategic plan. Value stream management to overall aligning and associating things with value streams or continuous streams of delivery of value to customers. And then scaled agile frameworks that allow you to take more lean and systems thinking approaches to doing investment funding and managing that overall portfolio and being more responsive with that portfolio rather than the old, you know, look at it once a year annual operating plan type of approaches. So we have these business strategy objectives and key results and the ability to structure a strategic plan, structure tangible outcomes or deliverables to showing that we've achieved those, and be able to even just execute on that strategic plan in and of itself, let alone aligning those with the projects and initiatives that we have within our organization. From an execution leader perspective, they need solutions that support the selection, planning, and execution of initiatives and projects across the organization. And to that regard, OnePlan has execution solutions with different disciplines and frameworks in mind, whether it be a pure agile portfolio management solution, whether it be more of an adaptive portfolio management solution that maybe has a combination of methodologies, maybe some waterfall, maybe some agile, maybe some hybrids of those. Professional services automation, who are made predominantly delivering services projects and services efforts, and overall product portfolio management to align with those people that are actually managing product portfolios, and even down to simple collaborative work management in the more simple cases. Now, the execution solutions really define really good portfolio visibility with different portfolio hierarchies that you might need, portfolio boards for more agile approaches to managing your portfolio, and even roadmaps for those more product-oriented types of views that you want in how we're doing on an overall roadmap of a portfolio. Prioritization methods, which can be modeled according to your priorities and the method that you'd want to use. Maybe they're business driver focused or maybe more numeric type of focused. Resource capacity and prioritization, aligning the fact that can we do these projects within the capacity or the headcounts that we have, and committing to things based on the fact that can we deliver with what we have. Same thing with financials. Can we come up with a portfolio and optimize investments even ongoing as things change to have things fit within an overall financial framework or budget and make sure that we can actually deliver from a financial perspective. And then having a tool of choice. OnePlan has all the tools you need in there to execute, whether it be from a waterfall perspective, more agile backlog and sprint planning, even just simple level to-dos. But it can actually incorporate and integrate with other tool sets if you have those in place and you have a lot invested in those as well. So for example, OnePlan has a OneConnect integration value stream management platform that brings all these things together into OnePlan as a common hub, whether it be agile software development tools, whether it be your financial system, whether it be general work management tools or IT service management tools, CRM tools, or other things. These things can all be brought together so that they come into a hub as the vision of strategic portfolio management prescribes. And the IT leaders, the technology piece of those, to have solutions in there to present the associated interrelated perspectives regarding the things that are in their purview, things like the applications, things like the infrastructure and other technology aspects. And OnePlan's technology solutions provide for things like enterprise architecture management, IT portfolio modernization, application portfolio management, and those dimensions which SPM says are critical to having a complete SPM type of solution and process. Now, to that end, OnePlan is pleased to announce a new strategic partnership with Smart 360, a best of breed solution in this particular area of the SPM mix. And we're proud to say that the capabilities of Smart 360 are fully integrated and embedded into the OnePlan user experience. Things like no-code repositories for enterprise architecture, InfoSec, governance and risk and compliance, be able to have an application portfolio that aligns with what we're doing with our project portfolios and strategies. Business capability modeling, that portion of the SPM model that needs to be incorporated into the mix is very well executed within this type of capability. Now we have webinars coming up that we'll talk about a little bit that focus more on a deep dive in these aspects, but we'll touch on it a little bit today. So overall, OnePlan is a strategic portfolio management solution that's complete for the enterprise. And it's also the most complete solution of this type for SPM on the Microsoft platform. So the types of things that business leaders need, that IT leaders need, and that execution leaders need can be accessed all from the user experience within OnePlan. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Paul Estabrooks, who'll give you a demonstration of some of these capabilities in action. Take it away, Paul.
Thanks very much. I'm going to walk through a quick demo of the OnePlan platform, and I'm going to look at those three components that Jim just talked about. I'm going to start here with strategy. You can see I'm in one of the areas in the solution called My Strategy. And here we have articulated a set of objectives. This particular, our demo company has a set of, 6 or so, 7 objectives that they want to achieve this year. So this is where the business leaders can come in and define those objectives. And underneath those objectives, we have a whole list of key results that we are trying to achieve. So the accomplishment of a key result means the completion of the objective or the objective being met. That's the whole goal here. So if I drill into any one of these, if I just grab one quickly, I can capture information about this particular objective. It's currently at risk as we are in flight on this. What is the budget that we're associating with this? This is an active objective. It's not a proposed one, let's say for next fiscal. It has some key results associated with it. It also has 2 particular projects that are directly associated with this key objective. And that association is something you're going to see come up over and over again as we go through this demo of how we are associating initiatives and projects to objectives to key results, how we're splitting those associations so that we can split up the budget, how things are associated to applications and business capabilities, and how those things are also associated back to objectives and key results, so that we have this nested understanding of how everything interrelates, so that we can make confident decisions, understanding that, you know what, if I stop this project, what's the ripple effect? What key results will we not be able to achieve? What objective will be in jeopardy as a result? And what assets are impacted by that decision? That's our goal here. If I drill into any one of these key results, I can capture other information, including I can do status reports on how that's progressing and kind of keep up with that information and be able to sort of track that and monitor my progress. So that's the OKR capabilities. We got a webinar next week that's going to go into a little more depth in that, but that's a bunch of capability we have here around articulating what we're trying to do and how will we know if we've got there. So the next piece of this is I'm going to jump over to the IT lens and jump over to my enterprise architecture. And here I have a different view. I have some products, the organization being OnePlan itself here in the demo, some applications, some capabilities, and some value streams. And if I jump all that open, you can see we've got a whole bunch of information about these different components of our enterprise architecture. Some are current, some are the target where we're trying to get to. We have them, some are proposed, some are done, some are in flight, and so forth. And if I drill into one of these, you'll start to see some of that association really come to life. So here I have the CRM application, the CRM component, if you will. It's on track. It's got a bunch of information. It's in its development stage. We know, it's expected to end at the end of 2026. So we have tombstone-like data about this application, and obviously this is configurable to track what we need to track. And I'm going to show you how Smart 360 is going to use some of that data in a few minutes. And then down here, it is associated to an objective. So it's integral to the accomplishment of this particular objective. It is linked to a couple of initiatives, including one of the projects we're going to talk more about in a minute, associated obviously to this organization, but you could manage multiple orgs in here if you had to. It's also linked to a couple of business capabilities and a couple of products. So we could see how this application impacts those capabilities that might be very critical to us, or a product that we're putting out to market, the applications in the background that are driving that. We want to be able to have that line of sight, because as we make decisions, we need to know what the knock-on impact is across all of this information and across all these sort of core components. So if I jump back out to my list, I'm going to jump over to the dashboard. And in here, I'm in some of the Smart 360 capabilities. So here's my repository of all my applications. You can see here what's current, what's planned, what's targeted, what's maybe going to be wrapped up or decommissioned in due time. And we can drill into all of that information. We've got other information in here about the business processes and so forth. We have a webinar planned to go very deep on this, so I wanted to just show everyone this capability. But then I'm going to jump out here and look at this particular visualization that we have. Is visually, how do all of the projects we're trying to do relate to the applications in here? Some simple relationships here. We got a project here that's going to touch 3 of them. If I scroll across, this can get pretty complex, and we need to understand this. We need to know, are there multiple projects that might be touching one particular application that might be actually delivering that application or providing content or capabilities to it? Well, what if we cancel that project? Will those capabilities that are also needed elsewhere no longer get done? And we need to know that as we make those decisions. So rich visualization, more to come. We're going to go deeper on this in future demos. But right now you can see sort of some of the power of this capability as we dig through all of this rich data, because we're linking our projects and our work effort to the applications and other assets we have, as well as tying those back to strategy. So to bring this around to some sort of full circle, I'll jump in here. I just want to go quickly to my portfolio summary to start. There we go. In here, I have my portfolio of projects. So I have my portfolios, my programs, and my projects. You can see some of the different tooling that's been connected to these projects when it comes to execution and delivery of them. I'm going to drill into one because I want to sort of dive into this in a bit more detail. So now looking at this in this lens, what I see here is some key information about this. I also see that it is associated to a specific one of our objectives at 100%. It is split across 2 key results. So its budget's been split 75-25, so that as we're tracking the investment we're making in achieving a specific key result, we have divvied up this project's work or its total costs appropriately so that we have a true understanding of what each key result costs or what the investment was to get there. Likewise, if I scroll further down, it's also linked to a couple of those to the value streams with a similar split, and it's associated to several applications, one of which we looked at a minute ago, and it was there, but here's the sort of reverse lens. So 20% of the investment in this particular project is going to be sort of charged to as part of the cost of ownership of the CRM RB 3.2 project or application rather. And then likewise, it's linked to a specific marketing messaging business capability. So now we have that other lens. We can see what applications that this project will impact, as well as what key results it's going to contribute to the accomplishment of, which will lead to the accomplishment of this particular objective. So in executing that, we'll dive in a little bit deeper, just kind of go through some of this other core capability. It is here where I can plan the resourcing that I would need on to accomplish this project. So I'm planning out, this is my commitments, so I'm looking at what would I need in terms of resourcing to move forward with this project. So what's my anticipated need? And I could drill in and schedule in timesheets. We can do that in a subsequent webinar, but I wanted to show you where you plan for this so that we have a true understanding of the resourcing requirements. And then more importantly, what are the requirements for our budget? And we've imported our costs in here from the resource plan to bring in this particular data, and then we've added some other costs. We can integrate this to a financial system. Here we're looking at budget. As the project gets going, we can start to draw in the actuals and do comparisons to understand, is our budget, where are we related to budget by month, by week, or whatever the case may be for managing the project. But here's where we articulate that budget. And we know in the background that this budget is being split across a couple of different key results, a couple of different applications and so forth. And this is where we define all of that. And then obviously we can do work planning. This particular project is set up in Project Pro. And I'm just going to sort of expand it out quickly. So you can see we have a full-scale schedule with those resource assignments already in place. Some tasks are already been updated, and we're now working through the project. So this is the actual execution of this particular project and where we are managing it, and we could go and do status reports and so forth. A couple of things I want to sort of highlight coming out of this. Here's my overall portfolio view. I'm going to switch to a prioritization. We're working on some new reports, and I wanted to show this quickly. Is here we have a portfolio network. So this shows me those portfolios, underneath that, those programs. As I drill it out, what are the different key results we're trying to accomplish in that program? And then if I go again here, I can drill this out even further. I want to pull some of these out for you. There we go, there we go. And you can start to see some of the improved customer experience leads to this particular key result. So we're working on some new reporting. This is using Power BI that we can sort of further visualize that relationship of a portfolio through to the projects and the programs and to what key results that they are accomplishing. So there you can see just some work we're doing on some new reporting. Now, let's look at this from a portfolio prioritization. Because what I want to understand is if I'm going to prioritize or unselect certain projects, what key results won't I be able to accomplish? What applications and other capabilities will that impact? So I got a couple of different views here. I'm going to look at this quickly and say, from here I can see, click on that, there we go. I can see which applications are associated to each project. You can see sort of in some cases there are multiple. So if I start to unselect or deprioritize some of these proposed projects, for example, or this one that's on hold, if it were to stay on hold, well, that's going to impact that application we were looking at earlier. Our ability to get it done, maybe to add a module, whatever the case may be. So we need to have that full lens. When we make a decision, it's not in isolation. Traditional PPM, we've all done these prioritization models over the years, but we weren't looking at it in the lens of, well, what's the impact to our IT assets? What asset won't be upgraded or enhanced or changed that might have had a knock-on effect to other projects that were waiting for that? What strategies won't we achieve? So I jumped to just a different view I've created, my straight prioritization view. Here we go. You can see here, I now know what the key results are associated with each of these projects along with the applications. And so now I want to make some hard prioritization decisions. I can start by just stack ranking and I can start to move projects up and down the list. if I wanted to. But maybe I want to look at this from a budget perspective. And so here I'm looking at it, and I know for the window of time that I'm trying to plan, I've got a target here, and that's represented here. I'm over my overall allocation, and I'm over it in certain months as well. So now I can start to make some decisions. I'm just going to make a couple of little tweaks here to my view. I want to be able to see again what key results will be impacted as I start to make those hard decisions. Well, let's start with the projects that are on hold. Let's keep them on hold. And as I do that, you'll see my budget starts to adjust. Maybe some of these proposed projects, yeah, they may be proposed, but they're not going to make this window because we've got to make some hard choices. And as I continue to scroll down, maybe I knock out one other one. And magically here, hey, look, I'm actually slightly under. I'm a little off in 1 month. I could start to drag and drop some projects. I could move this project over and see if that impacts my budget. Helped a little bit, but not enough yet. And I could move some things around. Ultimately, I could smooth out how the cash flow is going to work, or how the expenditures are going to go, while also making sure that I stay underneath my target budget. But in doing that, I had clear line of sight that in making these choices, which key results I was impacting, and are those the key results I can live with? You know, where are they in terms of the priority of the objective they're related to? I could even bring objectives into this as well and add that as another column and say, what objectives do I have to make the hard choices on, and what key results maybe we'll have to defer till later as we make these hard choices around budget. Or I could do this also through the lens of resourcing. Which projects should I have in or out of the equation around resourcing? You can see we've got some resourcing constraints. We still have the same projects selected and unselected. So we're starting to look at where would the resourcing fit? What other changes do I need to make? Which might mean moving some projects around to stick handle my way around some of those constraints that are in some of those core months. So lots of flexibility. The objective here is to give that complete lens. Business leaders have articulated what they want to accomplish from certain objectives and the key results that will indicate and confirm that they got there. As execution leaders, we have tough choices to make around how we're going to deploy our resources, how we're going to maintain and stay within our budgets, and what projects are we going to do and which ones are we going to defer or put on hold. And from an IT infrastructure perspective, we want to understand how are the assets we have going to be improved, retired, updated, and so forth? Where are we trying to get to, and what initiatives are we enabling? And so that we're all working in lockstep. We all understand the objectives. We all understand the key results we need to achieve. And we all understand which projects we're going to be doing and what assets will be impacted by those decisions. So we wanted to give you a high-level overview of how we are expanding the OnePlan solution to give you all three of those perspectives and the solutions and pieces that come with that. And with that, Jim, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thanks for that great overview, Paul. Let's summarize and talk about some potential next steps you can take. In summary, you know, we talked about how traditional PPM has provided significant advancements for organizations over the years, and that SPM is now expanding on PPM and adapting from the modern digital business. Also, we talked about how SPM brings together business capabilities, investments, programs, digital and physical products, applications, and projects, among other things, to have a more comprehensive solution and have more factors in play when we're doing our prioritizations and selections. Also, OnePlan provides a variety of solution templates for different capabilities and customer needs depending on where you're at in your journey. You can take advantage of those either all at once or incrementally. Also, OnePlan does provide the most complete set of SPM capabilities on the Microsoft platform today. If you're a Microsoft shop, we have a particular value that we can bring to that environment. And then also OnePlan integrates with other tools and solutions and with Microsoft Teams for content and collaboration, such that types of integration can bring together things from a variety of sources into OnePlan and still have that comprehensive view and management and decision-making that we're all looking for. So a little bit about OnePlan. You know, we are consistently recognized as a leader, and we have a particular passion and focus in project and portfolio management, even though we have a number of Microsoft Gold Partner certifications. We were in 2021 again named their Project and Portfolio Management Partner of the Year, so we're very well respected and regarded in the areas of project and portfolio management. We're also recognized by Gartner in the Market Guide for Collaborative Work Management and by research groups such as Infotech as a top vendor in this regard. We're also certified by Scaled Agile, Inc. as a Scaled Agile partner for people that want those more agile disciplines put into place. And we're here to help you to whatever degree you want to be helped. We have the services and the technology and the experience. You know, we've been doing this since 1999 as an organization and our team. We have pre-built solutions for common business needs and industries, and we have hundreds of successful customer implementation. We are truly invested in your success. Now, we do these webinars all the time, and this is the first of a series of 3 we're doing in this general topic area. Next Thursday, we're going to be focused more on the work execution and aligning it with corporate strategy, what they're calling strategic execution management, or SEM. So we're going to focus on that aspect of it in a little more detail, even though we touched on it at a very high level today. And the things with our Smart 360 and other capabilities, we have a business architecture and enterprise architecture. And on the 17th, we have Achieving More with Business Architecture and Strategic Portfolio Management, which is going to be a deeper dive into that segment of the discussion. And we're also doing a co-webinar with Microsoft on the next gen work management on the Microsoft Power Platform. So, you know, we got these coming up. If you find some value in these topics or intrigued by these, please sign up the same way you signed up for this webinar here today. If you want to trial some of this stuff, we do have on Microsoft App Source, we have the ability to do OnePlan trials. And you can either do the more expansive adaptive project portfolio management or focus on things like strategic portfolio management or agile portfolio management, or even professional services if that's your realm. And if you're not quite ready to trial things and you're trying to figure out how you can take advantage and get your organization to some of these things, we do offer a free roadmap workshop to help have a discussion on your current use of tools and solutions in your processes and assess your current requirements and your desired future state, and also help to determine how you would implement or migrate into a new solution like this, and come up with an initial and implementation roadmap for best adoption success for you, and even some cost of ownership evaluation. You may even own some of the technologies already that you're going to need. So it might not be as incrementally new as far as cost as you might assume. So with that, please take advantage of our free trial. And if you'd like, we can help chaperone you through those things and give you some guidance to make sure you get the most out of it. The roadmap workshop like we talked about, or if you just want something a little more tailored, something more focused on your needs and pain points, a personalized one-on-one demonstration. We're happy to structure something like that and gear it towards your needs anytime you like. You can reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai. Our website is www.oneplan.ai. And once again, thank you for your time today. We are invested in your success. Reach out to us at the general contact number, or if you have a specific question for Paul or I, our email addresses are in here, and you will be getting a copy of these slides probably within the next 24 hours, and a link to the recording. So in OnePlan, we provide all these capabilities in one interface, in one user experience, all through OnePlan. So representing OnePlan today, we'd like to thank you for your time and attention, and we really do hope to engage with you in the future. Have a great day.